Hi everyone, welcome back. And ITOM batch 2 T39. How are you doing guys today?
Good, Ajay.
Good
Good,
to hear.
Ajay.
Thank you. So before proceeding again for today's session, do you have any questions from yesterday's one?
Ajay, I have this one statement. Wanted to understand what it is.
Mhm.
Application dependency mapping. What is
Mhm.
application dependency mapping? Is it top-down mapping or what is
No,
application?
application dependency mapping is something which is your dependency map or business dependency map, which is created by ServiceNow Discovery out of the box. That is application dependency mapping.
So now that is just a random. Oh, sorry, I don't want to use the word random, but when you kick off a discovery of your environment, that map is created. Now, is it per application or how, I mean, is it like a generic map of every CI in the environment?
So that will be created for general. It's not for per application and all. Right. Let me quickly share my screen and just showcase you. Let me know once my screen is visible to you. Correct me if I'm wrong. Might be my understanding will be something incorrect. But let's see.
And what is a logical map? So I want to understand what is a logical map, what is an application dependency map, these two things, and how are they different from top down?
Okay. Where you hear where you heard about that terminology, logical map and application dependency.
At work.
Okay. So
So
basically, Mhm.
I get confused with see these three things I know, right? Application dependency map, logical map, and the last thing I understand and do is the top down. So I wanted to understand what is that thing. Uh,
Ba-
how are these three?
right. Basically, in my terms, if I say all these three are same, right?
Uh-huh.
Logical map is something where you don't have the clear picture what I need to map, okay? And you're mapping based on your understanding. Means that we can simple words if I say manual mapping, right?
Okay.
Like
Uh-huh.
logical example, if I give you like when you are or is customer is comes to you and ask you, help me to identify my business applications, right?
Hmm.
How the business application name you have given to them based on the use of that particular application, right? If that particular application which is built on XYZ server and that is used for waiting purpose, right? So automatically you give that particular application name is this is waiting application, right?
Hmm.
This is the logical name you have given to them.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, right? The same way, if any application which is going to use or going to purpose for track that complete environment, right? So in simple words, business application you have given the name is tracking,
Hmm.
right? So that is logical component, logical name you have given. So that's why we are saying business sorry, the business applications, application services, or technical services, that are the logical name which we cannot discover. We cannot discover the naming, right? It's
Hmm.
given by us. The same way, logical map is something where we are not sure what is it, where we are just only going to be do manual mapping based on our understanding, based on our logic. Like okay,
Okay.
like this is will be an entry and that is connecting with XYZ servers and that is going to be connected with XYZ app server or database. That my understanding says based on the logical, right? I have not heard about logical maps earlier, but
Uh-huh.
when you ask me, that's why I ask you where you heard about that terminology, right? So,
Right.
so that is my understanding on the logical side, right? again, and the application dependency map. Application dependency map is again nothing. We have two mapping, right? Top to down is, as I already mentioned yesterday, top to down, we have 3 or 4 types. One is
Right.
dynamic CI grouping, one is tag based, one is manual, one is automated. Right.
Automated.
In
Yes.
automated, we have two-way, pattern based or traffic based.
Traffic based. Okay. Yeah.
Right. So in couple of pupils that top to down say application dependency mapping, because we are doing that particular whichever map we are creating for applications only, right?
Oh, it's
Now we
dependent on
call
the application. Okay. Okay.
applications, we are calling that application services maps, that's why to them, right? And that is somehow belong relate in relationship with business applications as well, right? So that's why we call. But in another word, we have one more thing. It's just want to showcase you this one. If someone says dependency maps, so this is also dependency map. I just open you, right? So this
Okay.
is one of the Windows server, which is how that particular Windows server is dependent to that upstream and downstream applications, right? If you see that Windows server have 3 Apache running on it, 1, 2, 3. On top of it, on which top of it that is running on it, that is running on Windows Linux server, and database is also connecting there, right? And on top of Windows Server, there are some services running on it. Pupil service, network gears is there, some services running on it. On network gear service, there is bond training service. So that is dependency map, whichever we have created or built in our relationship table,
Okay.
right? That is dependency. But once you add application dependency map, that is simple for application top to down discovery. But actually dependency map is this. We also call that dependency map is business dependency map, BDM.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
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 So that is
Got it.
basically difference. But when and anyone asks me what is dependency map, I simply go and showcase this one, and this is the dependency map. And this is created by ServiceNow Discovery out of the box. But you can also do some mapping based on the relationships tables. If you want to add something on the relationship table, automatically that will be added here in
Got
the
it. Okay.
maps.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Ajay. This
Okay, yeah.
clarifies. Okay.
So I think let's move today to service mapping part now. So yesterday we discussed about the pre-req of the service maps and what is the service map, right? Any questions in it, Harish, Lalit? Anything from that?
Clear on that, Ajay.
Sure, thank you. So, what is the flow of the service maps basically? How we are starting and how that will be, going to be deployed and approved by that particular stakeholders, right? So first, as I already mentioned, readiness. In readiness, we required mid server, which is, mandatory things. Then we required credential configuration. Then we required discover load balances, which I just yesterday mentioned, and discover host, right? So these particular 4 things we discussed already when we are starting for readiness of the ServiceNow discovery or ServiceNow top to down discovery or service mapping. We required at least these 4 things: Med server, credential configurations, discovery of the load balancers, and discovery of the host, whichever host we are going to use it, right? Apart from that, whatever I mentioned related to read-only file access or the firewall ports and all, right? That we also required to make sure the smooth service mapping discovery will be completed, right? We have optional NetFlow and cloud discovery. If we are using, tag-based discovery, then definitely cloud discovery we required to be updated, right?
Ajay,
Then
one question on this one.
Mhm.
We when discovery process runs, is there anything special about discovering load balancers, or is it hard to discover for the mid server? Is there anything special about those?
No, nothing,
Nothing.
nothing
Okay. Okay.
special. I think, let me, if something is there, I think this is service mapping instance. No, that is also there. Let me do one more thing. One moment only. I just want to showcase you something if I am able to find out on the load balancer. Hmm. Nothing is there. I think I need to load some, example of the load balancer just to showcase you how it will be looks like basically. But there's nothing difference between the load balancer discovery. This is also running in the same way, and load balancer discovery is using the SNMP and SNMP protocol and using the same IP. We just need to run in the normal way. And once it is discovered, right? So how it will be looks like basically in simple words, if I say example C. So this is example, couple of attribute will be discovered for the load balancer, and under that we are able to see that how many load balancer service running on that particular load balancers, how many pool are configured on it. Pools basically that the connection between virtual load balancers to web server basically, right? So you can see that informations, right? So that will be discovered out of the box without doing anything. But that there is nothing difference between the load balancer discovery end of the day. This is
Okay,
running the
thank you.
same way.
Thank you.
Right. Then map, right? In the second step, we have ServiceNow discovery, bulk discovery. Here, services suggested by discovering load balancers, CSV import of candidate service, right? So I'm not sure what, why we required CSV import of candidate service is mentioned here, but that is not required basically, right? Automatically, when we are discovering the load balancers, automatically all services, all pool members, pools is discovered by ServiceNow, and that will be, will be used in the service mapping here. And then single creation, manual creation. That manual creation is all about application service, which we have to be manually create to go further. Right. Then third is fix error handling, where we have error category tiles and fix at one test, right? So that is available in the service mapping as well when we are doing, and we can handle that particular thing there, right? Single map refinement, and basically we are doing group error, ignore error, next error, skip and resume, create pattern from generic applications, pattern customizations. So basically, when we are not able to see automatic connections from the service maps or that particular CI to the next level of the CI, then we have to create, patterns as well, generic pattern from the generic pattern to the, we have to be customize the pattern for the specific application, as well as, lots of error will be there if my particular, in simple words, if I say the policies or that required access we not get it, that particular error will be showcased on the top and then the down of the service basically. Then we have review. In review we have then we can, once my service map is ready, we can send it to the SME to review it, interact with SME, receive the feedback from SME and refine map, right? So I will tell you where we can do that particular things, right? And then we have approve, right? So once service map is approved by application owner, we can deploy on the production based on the use case and activation of the service map on the dashboards, right? Till the time we are not making service map operational, that is not visible to anyone on the production instance itself if we moved out as well, right? So we have to make it operational once we are done with that, right? So these are the 5 steps which we are going to be follow while creating the service maps on that particular one, right? Let me close this. We have one more slide as well. Let me. So this is all about, the discovery, how you can schedule that one operational, what is the CI type, when you're going to be schedule the discovery of the service mapping, but we'll discuss later. Let's go and create a application service first. So I have, one lab available here. Here in this particular lab, they are going to be create or you discover that EMI dispatch scanning service. This service is supported by an Apache web server and installed on using port 80. Right, so we are going to be discover that one, right? So first of all, what we did create credentials. I have already created credentials, right? But before that, as you know, we need to be enable our mid server. So I have already done that one. Right, my mid server is up and validated. Again, as I mentioned already, you know, this is varies or depend when customer to customer, but we can use different mid server for different applications, right? So I have just put it all applications, again, all capabilities, but it depends on the scenario, customer to customer, and how customer want to use the mid servers, right? So we can also add that particular applications only in the supported applications and the capabilities, right? But I just added all four now. My mid server is ready. The second is credentials, as I mentioned, right? So I have just credentials added, that my credentials is also ready now. Now the third thing is we need to be create the application service, right? So the to configure application service, where we need to go service mapping home. From additional option link, choose that single service map, right? We can do it from there, and there lots of couple of other ways we can do it, right? For example, if I can type application service, right? So under service mapping, we have application service we can do from here. Under event management, we have application service we can also do from here. And under CSDM, if I go down, where is CSDM? Yeah, under CSDM, we have application service as well. We can do from here as well, right? But both all three views are little bit different. And as I mentioned under service mapping, the home we have, right? So here, if you see, that is my SA discovered service table. Okay. Here, if you see, this is the same table, but open in different way. This is the different table which is opening with the CSDM view. This is CSDM app service. And this is again different table, that is as a service maps management container table, right? So these are the two tables are same, but from here we can also create the same service maps or the same logical component of the application service. And we can also do it from application service home or sorry, sir, service mapping home or CSDM view. But my suggestion is always use that particular view CSDM, because when you are going to be create here, couple of things will be visible here, and you can do it from here itself, right? So let's try to do it from directly application service, create application service from CSDM view, right? So what we are doing, doing creating the name of application service is EMI dispatch scanning service, right? I'm just putting this one. Automatically one unique number will be generated. Environment, we can select what environment will be, and who is the owner of able tutor. Here is my able tutor, owned by able tutor, right? Short description, if we want to be put anything, we can also put it, right? So let me put example, the same used to can be device, right? Here, what is the value add? Why I suggest ask you to add it from here. You can do the right relationship mapping immediately using these particular four components, right? One is business service. If you have business applications available on the business application table, which that application service, this application service belongs, you can add it directly here. Then if any technical service offering you have it, you can also add that is, right? then business service offerings, and then parent application service. So, right, there are a couple of parent application service. If you want to add that, you can also add it, right? So using that one, you no need to do manual you no need to be create manual relationships. Using that, you can automatically add those particular applications, whatever you want to add, and you can proceed further, right? So we don't have anything. I'm just moving to the next step now. The number specified. Okay, they are mentioning. Let me put checks one. Now populate application service. In populate application service, we need to be choose the method, which method we are going to use, right? So as I yesterday mentioned, what we are doing first of all, right? So top to down here, use CI connections to map the application service. Requires service mapping. User must have as an admin role to, and current domain must be a leaf domain, right? Dynamic CI groups, then we have tag, then we have manual service, and then we have dynamic service, right? So what we are doing top to down here. Now we need to be select, it's top to down, right? Dynamic service, create service map, dynamically update and share relationships, right? So now we have to be select the application type, or that, what type of entry point we are going to use here, right? So if we are going to use basically HTTP here, if you may see, they are mentioning web application. So I just want to quickly showcase from here. Yeah, I just want to showcase you from here as well, so you don't be confused, right? So whenever we are going to be create a service map, I'm just going to create here test. The same way we are also create the same, right? Now discovered by service mapping or manually created, we have two options here. Web application, right? So web applications we can select from this way, and the same here we have HTTPS endpoint, right? So web application will be on HTTPS, right? So we have to be select that one, and then we have to be put this URL as just as an HTTPS URL, right? So that is done HTTPS endpoint, and we have just added the URL, and then what they say, add and save service mapping home, right? They also mentioned that you have to be checked this particular traffic based discovery and somewhat critical, right? So here when I'm just because we cannot use the same entry point URL for the two unique services, right? So we have to be make sure we are using different one. I'm just add this one, right? And once I add, when I come here, अरे भाई here. So again, we have to be options to be aligned, or define the business criticalities, right? So we have just did that. The same here, whichever whatever I using here, I have that ability to do that in the first options. Let's save this. So now my entry point is done. This is done. Now let's move to the next. There is no relationships, added manually, but if you want to add, like, whatever we have added on the first step, we can do that, and we are applied to that as well, right? And also whatever this severity they ask us, right? Where is it? There is no severity available here on the CSDM. I think form need to be modified here to be, populate the severities and the traffic based things to be enabled here, right? No issues. I think now let's move to the next, and done. Why? What is the problem now? Okay.
Looks like in both the windows you have the same number.
I think so. Let me see. Now its application service has been created, right? So that the same way here, if whatever we are going to be create, we can have directly options to create a view map once we have done that one. And the same here, we have that application as well to be, do the next or basically to view that particular map from that there, right? So if I came here again and go back, whatever I just created, it's available here as well. We can see it. But this is showcasing we don't have added any entry point, but we did, right? We did. My God, let me do one more time. The business service contains the same entry point that was entered. Please enter. Okay. What is the issue now? We have already there. Why it's not visible here again then? Let me try to add it from here. Let's see. The business service is already added. Now what we need to do, I need to go to svc underscore ci underscore soc dot list table. Let me put this. So whenever you are faced that type of issue, right? Okay, like by mistake you added and it's not replicating or not showcasing anywhere on the entry point, right? And you're getting this particular error. Immediately go to that SVC CI SOC table, which is service configuration item association table. Go there and just delete this one. Once I delete, I'm able to add the same entry point again for the different service maps or the same application service basically, right? If I click add, let me
So
get
this
the
could be done for testing also if we are testing and we want to
yes,
keep adding. Okay. Can you
right.
put that table name in that chat later, please?
Yeah, that is SVC CISO. Oh shit. A business service contains the same entry point that was entered. Please enter a different entry point or delete the entry point and try again. Then I just deleted that one. I still not allowing to me. Let me see one moment. I've also created this. Shit. I just clicked. I hope this time that will allow to me edge. See, then let me delete the service one try. One moment, guys. I think I'm just try to delete that one first of all directly, and we'll see to create a new one again. That is done now. Let's try to create a new again. Name of the service is EMI dispatch scanning service. Able tutor. Web application. Then we have this URL which is running on port 80. This is something wrong. There's one more table, I think SVC is there. SVC underscore CI underscore SOP dot LST. There is some issue. The business service contains the same entry point that was entered. Enter a different entry point.
I guess you already have something from other class, or you already have a service map built for this.
No, I have not done, but you know what is error is because the same entry point is used by the different application service or the service ID. That is trying to mention here this one. Let me say if something is there, but it's not looks like that. Because here we are able to see the all mapping basically. If you see that only 56 maps are there, 198, 51, 47, 201. This is there. This is there, right? So let me delete this one. Delete this one. Shit. Delete this one. Delete this one, and delete this. Okay, that is done. We don't have anything here. We don't have anything here. We don't have anything here. I think so. Now we will not see. No. There is some issue. But we just did from this one, and I am able to see a problem occurred during. This is also not allowing me to create that one. Scanning service. Next, choose method, top to down again. This HTTP this. It's also not allowing me to save this one. No. Okay, now let's do the different ways. We have this one.
So Ajay, one lesson that we learn from this is if a service map is already created for that entry point, you cannot create another
Definitely, you
service map.
cannot create another one. You can create
Now,
it.
on a different port, can we create it?
Yeah, different port you can create it. That is possible. If I use, instead of HTTP, if I use HTTPS, I can create it. And
Oh,
we can
protocol.
also create for the same entry point. But, but what I'm feeling, whatever I'm deleting from SVC CISOP table, sometimes this particular table, right, take some time to be synced, right? So this is the reason only it's not syncing with that particular one and not allowing me to create another, entry point, because that is a table which took the relationships between my entry point and my service ID basically. Because I used lots of time. If you see here, one service map is visible here on the service map view. That is signed for review. What is that? In progress. This is something not required. Service name is blank. Okay, I think let's try whatever they mention here. Define a single service map. Let's try to do this from whatever they mention in their documentation, right? Where, yeah, let's just put, I'm just putting the name as test. Is a able tutor web application, but is allowing me from here. See, this is not syncing. Let me do, without that, we cannot proceed further, right? So I have to be patient.
Can we not add port 80 because that's the default port?
Because that application is Apache application, which is running on the port 80 only. That's why I'm just trying to add. If I add HTTPS instead of this, that will be working. See, that is added.
Right.
I replace this with, let me refresh one moment. Right, so that is not doing this one. Let me go SVC underscore C underscore S dot. Mhm. Okay, let me go again, application service. I just created tag track, but that is not saved. Might be additional define a single service. This is not synced yet. If I use HTTPS, let me try. This is added. Now view map. I just directly go to the showcase to view map. Let's see. So instead of HTTP, we just use HTTPS because end of the day, we know that application is running on port 80 HTTPS, but let's see how that will be behaving if we are putting HTTPS instead of HTTP. Right. And I need to be sync that one. Basically, without that, we cannot. Now, whenever you put it entry point, the discovery will be running look like this, basically. It will take couple of minutes to be complete. Let's wait. Meanwhile, if that is running, let me try to find out a way how I can remove that one. That is the table. See, it simply mentioned here as an error, failed to identify CI due to host this, lacking an application running on port 443. Make sure that application is running and run quick discovery on host. What do you understand that particular error? I think that error is self-described everything. Right?
Yeah, it's not there in the CMDB?
No, it's there in the CMDB, but they are not able to identify, is there any application running on port 443? Basically, they are mentioning and suggesting us. So check, make sure application is running on that 443 and run the quick discovery on that one. So let me quickly showcase you this CMDCI list. IP address. See, the CI is in CMDB, and what will be the class? Windows Server is there, right? Because we have to look on the host, and if I go here, and if you go on the running processes, you can see the port Apache, like httpd.exe port running on 80. That is listening on 80, right? 9001. But if you see, there is nothing where any application or any process running on port 443. If I use instead of 80, if I use 8005, let me use this one. 8005.
But Ajay, in this case, that will not be the application that will be running on this port, right?
Right. Because what is happening, we are not able to add HTTP. I just added HTTPS, and there is no application running on port 443.
Yeah, that's what it complained.
That's
Yeah.
it's completing, and that error is there, right? Now it helped me to give our understanding as well. If some customers give us, okay, like that is the port, correct port, there is application running on it, just go simple, run the quick discovery on that device, go to the running processes. I just check like that, right? Try to find out, is there any application running on that particular port? No. And simply mention to customer, sir, there is no application running on that particular port. You have to be check it, or you have to be run your application on that port specific if you are mentioning, right? So that we have to
Uh,
do now.
one question on this, right?
Yep,
So
yep.
when you run the quick discovery, it also shows the list of running processes on that particular CI.
Yes,
Okay, okay.
that will be. So what I'm trying to do now, I am just using the same device, and IP is this, but I'm just using the different entry point. Here it is, right? This I'm just using the TCP entry point, colon dot dot dot. Right, let's add this one. Okay, so I need to put here. I can put here. Let's remove this one from there and add. Okay, view map. So what I did now, I just using the running process is the listening is on 8000 port, 8009 and 9080. I just pick one port 8005. That application is running on it, Tomcat 9 exe. Right, so I just try to pull or try to discover based on that particular port. Let's see what will be happening now. So now you can see the two entry point. One is for HTTPS already, and one is just I added now. So if I click on this one, you can see port is this, IP is this, this is TCP endpoint. If you want to see detailed properties, you can do that, right? The same way here, this is HTTPS endpoint. This is the URL of it, right? So that is visible.
So Ajay, what we are doing right, essentially is a business service. Now we are seeing multiple application services.
Yeah, so multi one application service, if customer couple of times what customers ask, or customer do in simple so it will ask sometimes to use different or unique entry point each time for unique services, right? Or sometimes customers say I can give you the three entry point because my these three applications or three entry point are dependent to each other. So put it in single only. Getting my
So
point?
put it in
Single
under single.
application service,
Okay.
because that are dependent on each other and the connection is happening to each other, right? So that's why they are asking to do that.
You know what? Would you mind explaining it again, just to for me to visualize? So, for example, let's take an example of any example, right? Live example. So,
Okay.
if we are onboarding a employee, so you want to verify is, is age is one process. The second thing is, did he have passed something, or three different scenarios. So, in that
Yes.
case, three process can kick off, and that's why we are
Yes.
trying to capture these three. Is that a good example?
Yes, right. So
Okay.
example, let me give another example. You want to be recharged. Okay. Now, first, what you do? The one service will be to find out the recharges. So you are going to find out the recharges and see the recharges, the panel or the view is looks good to you, right? The second thing, now you check, find, search the recharges. Now you want to be recharged your mobile, right? Then you go for another thing. You click on the particular recharge and go for the payment one, right? And the third thing is offers on that particular recharge you are, right? So these are all three are independent to each other, right? So one is for viewing the recharge, second is for recharge or payments, and the third is what is the offer available on that particular one. So in that case, we can use the same multiple entry points in the single map, because just to showcase the interdependency between them. Or might be that also possible sometimes, that application which you are using, all the same application running on the same infra, but entry point is just different, right? So it will automatically take or create the connection in between, right? Let me showcase you if something is there. uh, Application service, we have lots of, right? I just opening couple of randomly. There is no entry point. No. Oh, they have not added any entry point in between them. It. They just created that particular, business application services, but not added any, entry points in it. I just want to give you an example. Let me delete this as well. No, I don't have any example just now, but I will showcase you basically. Let me see. Till that time I'm not satisfied myself. That is not the way. This is the same pound. This is okay. And we have 22. Nothing is there as well. Mhm. Mm. I think I will make sure in the next class. Sorry, I will make sure to make this particular business service up, and will showcase you how that will be looks like. Basically, here it's not working. It's not capturing that informations whatever we want, right? And it's again giving me error on the specific code which I use, but that is not the case here, right? So let me run the discovery again on that particular page couple of times, that that will give error. Actually, the application is running on this particular port, wherever they mention 8005, right? But that is not picking up by them. Or we can use a different PMPB underscore CI dot LIST. IP is the server is this. Eight double zero five 8009 9080. If it is not discovering with this, we'll try to change the port as well to 9080. So there are two things basically. If you see on learn processes, connecting to or listening on. So listening on port where that our application is running on it, and connecting to on which port the other applications are connect to this basically. So we are going to use listening on here, right? File system. Let me see. Couple of times it will take some time to be complete. Just give me a moment. Let me connect my laptop charger. No, that's still not identifying on the port 8005. Let me go and edit again on the same entry point. This is the challenges basically we are facing while we are doing service mapping. This is the actual issues basically, if I tell you.
So, Ajay, what I've heard is in general, majority of the clients that try to implement service mapping, especially the top-down service mapping, usually nothing is completed 100%. Is that a true statement?
100%. That is the only the issue, because service mapping is
Okay.
not that much mature enough as of now. They are not, because what is the issue with the service mapping here? Somehow you are able to do the service mapping for your internal component, right? But this is not 100% that everything is for you is running on your internal data centers. Most of the time your application and other things is running on the third party servers or the third party systems as well, and that vendor is supporting to them as well, right? How you are going to be connected, because that particular infra is not in your control. Let me give an example here. You're implementing ServiceNow for one customer. ServiceNow is completely on cloud. If your customer is ask you, I need a service map for our ServiceNow, because end of the ServiceNow is running on cloud, but some host and something is running on it, right? Will ServiceNow provide you access to those particular hosts, which is part of your application only? No, because that is handled or maintained by the ServiceNow completely. Getting my point?
Yes, Ajay.
Right. So
Yes.
in that case, you are not able to complete that one. And somehow you are able to do that manual things only, like manual create the service maps and all, but that is not that much useful. Now you just see, I just changed the port and I am able to see the Tomcat is discovered.
Got it. Okay.
So what I use 9080 port. Earlier might be 9080 from listening one. Earlier I used 8005, or might be that application is not running on this particular one or not listening. So I changed the port 9080, and that is discovered now with this particular one, right? because this is a single level of application which is running on the Tomcat we just discovered, right? But in the next sessions or next classes, we'll discover the multiple layer of applications, how that will be look like from top to down, and how it will be connecting to that, the different one basically. So we'll discuss on that particular part, right? And here in the same one, basically, what they did it in the lab, they just discovered the Apache Tomcat. Sorry, Apache on this one, they just mentioned if I just want to be showcased with you as well. When I click here, you can see this is my entry point. This is the information. If I want to be, get more informations, I can, see the process TCP port. These are the process running. What is the running process? This is Tomcat 9 exe, which is also available here, right? You can verify that one. Classifier of what is PPID, what is the version which is running on it, running process key parameters, everything will be discovered. And server port is 8005 used for production. Whatever information available on running processes, it's automatically captured. And then which server that application is running on, it means which server the Tomcat is running on it. So that is running on Windows server. So you are able to see that information here as well. Again, as I yesterday mentioned, month, this is the timeline, which you can see if I click here on this particular. So what will be the changes happen in this particular one? It will help to, showcase us basically, right? Because we just created now. So that is not no more timeline showcasing, but tomorrow if we want to see, we are able to see that, right? So see these. It's on the 31st of October 2024 around 2:12 that we just added one entry point, right? And after that we just added, once we added two entry point, that is updated here like that, right? So this is the timeline which is most of the time required to be validated as service maps. What changes is did in last 24 hours or 48 hours or 1 week or month, right? And the changes also added or showcase you in the down as well, right? So whatever the changes which we did just now, see I added, this is done, file, these particular files are added here. So whatever the changes is done, it's also visible here as well as a timeline. This is the most important things which we can use, right? Then, and as I already mentioned yesterday, reject and approve send map. So once I click on the send to review, I can assign, automatically assign will be there. You can send and approver to review that particular service map, and he will receive an email. In email he will receive a link as well to be triggered that one. And once he is receiving that one or clicking on the link, he will able to come on that particular page on the service map. He will validate that one and he can approve from here, approve or reject. Right? Once it is approved, that we can ready to move it from development or test to production, basically that particular service maps. Right. So this is the basically we are do. Any questions in that one?
Ajay, one question.
Yeah.
If we have another entry point which was in Tomcat deployed application, will that be able to show
Yes,
here? Like, okay,
we
like
can
an
add it, but that should be on different IP or different port.
oh no, different port actually. What see, Tomcat was running on 8080 port. If there was an URL application which was inside the Tomcat, can we discover that as well?
Yes, of course, we can.
Okay.
Definitely.
No, my question is like any Java application or a .NET application was deployed
Yeah,
on top.
right. Like, let me showcase you. I think there is one Java application running on 9001, right? On the same
Okay.
IP. You just, because let me, what is this? Now it's because it just approved now. That's why we cannot modify. But yeah, let me click on this one. We can add one more entry point. This is the IP. The port is running on 9001. If it is correct one, it automatically discovered that one as well. So there is one Java application, Java exe running on the port 9001. I just added this one just to showcase you. And there are two modes, view. In view mode, you are just able to see that, or your customer, whenever you are sending for approval, just send it in view mode only. So they cannot modify or they cannot edit anything, right? And edit mode is just for, if you want to edit anything or you want to be, see everything about the logs and other things, basically. I think it will take a couple of minutes to be discovered, but that will be discovered if everything is fine on that particular port. Yeah, see, Java application is discovered now. But are you able to see any difference between this and this?
The logo is different.
Why the logo is different?
Unrecognized generic application, probably.
Yes, right. Because this is generic application. Because it just recognizes Java application, but it's generic application. Is ServiceNow is not able to identify what type of application it is. Right. So in that case, if it is identifying as a generic applications, we can create or we can define again the process classifiers on a specific exe or the port, right? And based on that, we can define a pattern as well to be discovered in actual application if we want, if we know what is the actual application on this particular one. Getting my point, right? So that we can do that, but it's a generic application. That's why it's coming like that way. So we can do that as well, whatever if required. I hope, Harish, you are able to, got it now.
Got it, Ajay. Thanks.
And yeah, that's all for today. Tomorrow, and I think tomorrow we are not connecting, right? On the Monday,
Yeah,
we
we're
are
connecting on Monday. We are connecting back.
right. So Monday, I have, couple of labs also available where I just want to showcase you the complete, basically, the complete top to down service maps, basically, how that will be looks like and how it will be the other different levels there, right? And we'll also discuss about a couple of custom patterns which is required to be create on service maps related to create connections and other things, right? So I will go through that particular things as well. Okay, I think any last minute question before closing the session for today?
Nothing from my end, Ajay. Thanks.
Okay, sure.
All good, Ajay.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye bye. We'll meet you on Monday. Happy
Thanks,
Diwali.
Ajay. Happy Diwali, guys.
Diwali, guys. Bye.
Bye bye.